Hey guys, GameBoy3800 here once again. We're back in Beam. And before we begin, uh, all the community event submissions have been taken in. And the video or stream, I'm not sure when that'll be because I am busy this upcoming week, just like I was busy the last upcoming week. Or last upcoming week? How does that make sense? I'm tired. Anyways, point is, I'm not sure when the community event will be out. However, I have decided that this suspension setup will in fact be the prize instead of the engine, because I didn't even show off the engine before, whereas I have shown off this before, and it's not out yet, so this could be a great early prize for the top 10 finishers of the community event. So check on the channel to see when the community event will be aired rather, and let's get back to the video. Previously, I showed off the suspension package. This is my rear mount cantilevers on both front and rear shock packages. I dubbed it the Voodoo suspension style because it was in lieu of Iron Warrior. And this is the version I showed off before, except here, this is like version 1.5. Why is it 1.5? Because I have edited the rear to be taller and a bit lighter than before, but otherwise it's the same. And version 1 of this front suspension is exactly how it was. So let's go over how it was before. How it was before is I basically took the rear mount cantilevers from in-house chassis pack Bigfoot 11 and just kinda, you know, moved it forward. And it worked okay. It's functional. However, we actually don't have very much travel with it. Take a look. Like, yeah, there's travel. Oh, what's a good way to test? Oh, yes, there we go. If we go up against this hill here, this ramp, we should be able to see the travel. Doesn't actually travel that much. That tire's in the air. Yeah, that doesn't work too well, and it's also fragile. So if we go into a ramp with like the wheels turned and the brakes held, or just going over bumps pretty rapidly, we can have the whole front just kind of not become a front anymore, and that's obviously not very good. So, you know, let's fix that. The position's right though. Like, all the positioning is correct, it's just not very well put together. So how do we fix this? Well, if we take a look at our suspension options, what I've done is all the versions I've done for the front is I've labeled them V1, V2, V3. We're going to go to V2 next. And the theory behind V2 was, let's take a look at the sway bars that are up front from standard. Those are in a great position and they don't shake and they're not too fragile. Let's take a look at how they sit. They sit fine, but when we move, they actually just shake a ton and they're terrible. And if we go on the brakes too hard, take a look at that. The shocks just go all the way to the end of the rail, and they're not even close to their mount, and they don't uncompress. They don't do their suspension thing, you know? But they do at least compress, unlike the other ones. They just don't decompress. And they're probably still fragile, I don't know. They could still be fragile, but they're not really that good to drive with. I'll give it a quick run around to see how it does drive. Spoilers, not very well, because anytime you do anything with the front end, it'll just go all the way down and not spring back up. So yeah, that's like pretty terrible. Nobody should use this, and nobody will use this. This version won't be released, but And whether you see it or not, every mod creator of any game ever goes through multiple versions of what they're working on before they either show it off or release it. And here, I'm doing the same, except I'm showing you the process of elimination of ideas. So, sway bars didn't work. The position is right though. And the first version didn't work because they didn't compress. Well, what if we take both of those ideas, take what worked, and we have version 3. Let's see version 3. Version 3 took what worked from version 1 and version 2. So now we have fully compressible shocks that do, in fact, go back to where they're supposed to. And the main mount point for the shocks up front is fine. No issues at all. All it took was me basically redoing everything. For instance, from standard, like coilovers, not coilovers, cantilevers, like this whole extra bar down here, it's really behaving more like an extra long bottom part of the shock. And in reality, it's a separate entity. So that's what I did for the fronts. The rears, they should be like that, but they're behaving, so I don't think I'll touch them for now. And I did learn something from the sway bars. If we take a look at them like in code, there's some connecting nodes going between the left and right side. Not to like be a sway bar or anything, but just to make sure you don't have too many side-to-side motions. So, you know, combining that with all the extra stability that normal sway bars have, and the shock packages actually mounting to that new bar instead of trying to just be an extra long regular shock. Our final result is something like this, where we have way more lightness, way more strength even, way more motion, and it doesn't feel like it wants to break in half. So if we do the test we were doing before, of turning and braking into a hill, even a few times in a row, we shouldn't have any issues because it's all properly organized in the node groups and everything. And take a look at this. We broke the forelink before we broke the suspension. Now, does this mean it's invincible? Not at all. If we go and do an old test of mine, look at that launch. That's what cantilevers were really good for. There we go. If we go ahead and just do something stupid like that, we will break them fully from the axle. So that's no big deal. This is a stock engine, by the way. I didn't change the engine at all. Cantilevers are just so good for weight transfer. This is why they're often used at like Panda straight line racing or whatever. They're cool like that. And now this should give more options for that kind of driving. Even huge error like that, it can take a looking. And where's the secret ramp on this map? Is that it there? I don't think that's supposed to be it there. But I guess it is it. I wish it didn't have a hill right there, because I wanted to get a huge run up and do something stupid. Boing. Okay, we broke steering on one of the wheels, but the suspension is still fine. Yeah, I could happily drive like this if this was like a default option on the monster trucks. It's certainly different. And I guess it is worth showing what happens if you like put on the suspension from standard and don't remove the front sway bars, because they actually use the same mount as the front sway bars, like they go into there. So if we go and put the front sway bars back on, we may have ourselves something funny looking. However, it should not interfere. It should still work. It'll just look silly. Yeah, there we go. I was running quad rear cantilevers or sway bars rather, in order to offset the not front sway bars I was running. But you can still run front sway bars. It will use the same mount. It'll just go right through and look kind of silly, but it'll work. One last test to do is to take a look at that front travel, because the first test didn't show up too well, but now we should have ourselves a good amount of travel on the hill. Look at that. That one's extended, that one's compressed. Very nice. Boing. That's been this little deep dive episode. I hope you all enjoyed. And it's fun to go over the process of elimination of ideas, to see what works, see what doesn't work, and of course getting it to work in the end. Oh, so satisfying. This game is 10 years old now, and I'm still learning how to do new things in it. Of course, doing suspension packages on anything isn't a new idea, but it's not something I've been super savvy in before, but now I do feel like I'm getting the hang of it. We just chucked the steering rod or something out there. That was cool. That's going to be it for now. I hope you all enjoyed. And this suspension package will be out early for those who do well in the upcoming community event 12. When will that air? I don't know. I'll have another video when that will be. That's it for now. I'll see you all in the future. Goodbye, everybody.